Intractability. There are many ways to do that. And I like this picture because it looks at Haram al-Sharif through the David Star. And that, I think, capture what is going on in today's world. But I wanted to talk about what it means about intractability and humiliation in the context of what has transpired in Jerusalem. And Jerusalem, of course, is an issue, a thorny one. This is the metal detectors, and the metal detectors was put on by the Israeli government, saying that this is for security sakes and all that. And there was a lot of protests of the metal detector. This was in Jerusalem in July 2017. And what happened is that as a result, there were murder of Palestinian protesters, 4 of them, and then 3 Israeli settlers were also killed by the Palestinians. The question is, why so much problem with the metal detectors? You know, metal detectors that you go through เครื่องตรวจโลหะนะครับเอาเครื่องนี้มาตั้งเกิด protest ใหญ่โตเลยคำถามคือทำไม Put in a nutshell, you see, the problem with Jerusalem is that Jerusalem, apart from being a sacred site for us here as Muslims and others in the world, you know, Christians and the Jews, what it is that it was a Waqf land. It was a Waqf land way back, you know, since 1967, and the Waqf has the authority over the mount, meaning people can come in and out of the Haram al-Sharif at the jurisdiction of the Waqf committee. When the Israelis put up the metal detector, what it means is that it relocates the authority from the Waqf to the state. And that caused all kinds of problems because it calls into question the status quo of the Palestine, meaning the Waqf then would no longer be in the authority to say who can come in or not. So what you have there, if you're Palestinians, is that you can look at the land, you can look at the sacred site. You, as a Muslim, wanted to go and offer your namaz or salah there. What happened is that sometimes you cannot go in, but the tourists can. And that, I think, is hurting. That's why the protests. So when you read sometimes Israeli newspaper, why all these protests? Because, you know, you are trying to defend for security's sake. It's fair, you know, you look at all the airport. But Palestine, Jerusalem is not the airport. And that's the important thing. And this makes matter worse because you have one of the most I lack the words, so if you want, you know, you can find some words to characterize the present president of the U.S. I'm sorry for you, you know, Mary. But we also have our own problem. I'll share with you later. But what happened is that we have this guy in the presidency of the U.S., one of the mightiest country, and he said, America, go first. And he responded to some kind of deepening sense of dangerous nationalism. So when he was listening to Macron speaking, I don't think he understood what Macron was saying, unfortunately. But what he said on December 6, 2017, he said, today we finally acknowledge the obvious that Jerusalem is Israel's capital. This is nothing more or less than a recognition of reality. This is what he said. It is also the right thing to do. It's something that has to be done. In 3 sentences, he has, in a way, turned the conflict into a much more deadlier zone, I would argue, because of this shift of the capital, as you can see. The shift from Tel Aviv by the sea to Jerusalem. And Jerusalem is, you know, so close to the land that belongs to the Palestine. At the moment, I'm talking about the government of Palestine on that side, not on the Gaza side, the western side. Why? Because of the third word, intractability. What you have now is that you have in, you know, Palestinian Israeli conflict, which I would call is intractable conflict. Some call it this the 5% problem. The experts estimate that about 5% of our more difficult conflicts become intractable because it's highly destructive, never-ending, and virtually impossible to solve. These are immune to classic resolution approach. What that means is that when a conflict turns intractable, you cannot treat it as any other conflict. You cannot use the knowledge you have in conflict studies to apply to this kind of conflict. It's quite different. Why? These are some of the examples of the intractable conflicts around the world that you can see. ไม่มาผมดูเครื่องผมมาเครื่องยังไม่มา Sorry, it has not come up. I'm speeding up because the moderator suggests that I have to be on time. But this is not my fault, right? Yes. So it's like in the wrestling, I get extra time. Yeah. Back, please. ถอยกลับครับ